Okay, so for this month's Fearless Fridays, I'm super excited to be here with Serena. Serena is a former colleague, a friend, a business coach, a coachee, and everything in between. So I'm really excited to finally get her on the interview. She's a hard woman to pin down. As you'll hear, she's been doing a lot of different things in the last month and years. So I'm going to dive straight into it, Serena, and ask you just to introduce yourself briefly and say, what were you doing before and what are you doing now?
So yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm a marketeer. I've always done marketing, and I sort of career-wise grew up in P&G. I spent more than 10 years there. But my parents were and always have been entrepreneurs. But the surprising thing, I think, is that for them, success was to have a career in corporate. And therefore, success was the same for me. That's how I saw my future. And then my father offered me a book about P&G when I was a teenager. And so he was very happy that I got into P&G. And after a good career in P&G, I decided to leave. And right now, I'm having a cake business. But from the moment I entered P&G to the moment I started baking cakes, a couple of things happened, including a couple of businesses. So it's not like a straight line, I would say. But that's what I'm doing now. I'm baking and selling cakes.
Okay, I don't know if anyone ever experiences a straight line. Certainly I haven't either. And I guess, yeah, there have been a few sort of transitions for you in a way, but was there a moment when you realised that actually success for you is maybe not the corporate career and that maybe this entrepreneurial gene that you probably had was more the right approach for you?
I think I always felt I wasn't fitting 100% into what, I don't know if corporate, but at least P&G expected from me. And many times people encouraged me to be an entrepreneur because I was so innovative and sometimes I didn't want to do things the way they were done before or they were usually done. And so a lot of encouragements and also just the feeling that maybe I could be more performant and happier as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So I'm still finding out. It's not 100% sure, but I wake up happy, so I guess it's good.
Well, that's all we can ask for. I think that's already a good sign. So what's been the biggest challenge or challenges for you as you've gone about, I guess, experimenting a little bit and exploring this new path?
There are many challenges, at least for me and in general. I think when you leave corporate to start your own business, at least for me, one of the biggest challenge is being alone. You're alone all the time compared to when I was either part of a team or leading a large organization. I wake up in the morning and I'm alone, and I go to bed and I'm alone, and I'm happy. And I usually had a good day and learned tons. But the interaction and the jokes and just chatting with people and having a coffee, this especially at the beginning, I was missing a lot. But then it's also true that when I'm working, I'm in the zone. So I'm a bit, in between the two. This I miss a lot. Growing people, so passing on knowledge, it's something that I loved. And people appreciate it, so I think I was good at it. This I'm missing, and the way I compensate is I started teaching at university. That's my way to pass on knowledge and have interaction, and have fun in general with other people. And then I'm coaching startups for young professionals. That's how I do. And I think another one is, I think especially being an entrepreneur, the life of an entrepreneur is just a sequence of infinite failures. It is true. And then from time to time, there is a blip of, wow, success. So they're just like failure, you try, and then a little success, and then you try. It's very different from corporate where you might argue those are not real success or not that big as we think, but the entire team is behind trying to prepare a huge presentation or convincing management, or you have a cycle of like build up and then successful moment and then build up again and celebration with the team. This I'm missing. And then I think the final thing I would like to talk about is not knowing how to succeed. It's just like a black box, and I know we talk from time to time about it. It's like if you ask me for an advice, I give you an advice, but I have no idea. So sometimes, very rarely, I have experience. But this is very different from corporate, where you have an entire team and management that have years and years of experience. So they might always then tend to do the same things, which is a bad thing. But at least there is a sort of database of high quality knowledge, and you can talk to people and just learn from others. I think as an entrepreneur, you just don't know, and actually the people you could learn from are your competitors. So it's a very, very strange situation. So yeah, that's what I'm missing, like this group knowledge. This I don't.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess the as you said, there are downsides to that in the corporate as well, that it is more standard and expected and maybe routine, and also that there isn't that innovation that you maybe brought to the table as well. And I don't know, there is this trend towards sort of bringing entrepreneurial attitudes into companies and that entrepreneurialism, as they call it, which I think is important. So maybe they'll start facing the same issues. We already have older generations of marketers maybe not being so familiar with digital and social media and so on. So I guess those experts perhaps are losing a bit of their that experience that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But it's also interesting how you found ways to sort of address those things. So I guess some people, and I've certainly met some people who've given up on their own business because they felt alone or they just felt they missed their colleague, and then they go back to the corporate. But it sounds like you found, at least for now, you found ways, as you said, to grow people via the teaching, hopefully, social life via other means as well. And again, finding, I guess, ways to celebrate and interact with people as well and learn from people.
Go ahead.
I was just going to just conclude with, how are you finding that support? How are you filling those gaps that you've had, I suppose, and where have you found support?
Yes, in terms of like people connections, on the cake business, I work with my boyfriend. So, of course, we interact a lot and exchange a lot. I've just joined a woman network in Geneva. And I think hopefully I will be part of this network, not only, let's say, as a member, but I also want to see if I can put in place trainings for the members. So continuing passing on this knowledge. I mean, I think I like to help people. So that's why I like to be around people, not only to have fun, but to grow them and help them. So that's how I do. And then I have a couple of good friends I call or message often.
And you said, I guess, that the other interesting point you said was that you just don't know what success is. So that how will you know when you found success in that case? What is it that you think success means for you?
I mean, I measure success a lot by sales. If I sell, I'm successful. If I'm not selling, I'm not successful. This is important to me. And then, like, my vision would be to be a well-known and respected entrepreneur. That's why from time to time I present to conferences so that I can get trained for my glory time.
Glory time, love it.
I want to be prepared. But yeah, I mean, if I manage a good advertising campaign or a good communication and I get orders, that's successful for me. And then at the end, once I sold the cake, if the cake was appreciated and people then recommend me, that's success for me.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because in a way that is sort of classic business measures. But then, I mean, certainly through the cake business, because you're running your own business and because you're making something that people are having in front of them, you're really interacting with people. You're getting a lot more of a sort of direct link to those end people compared to sitting in an office writing sort of PowerPoint presentations that get passed from team to team down to some, German teenager or something. So I think that sounds like it could be quite a change and a sort of more meaningful experience in a way.
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, any entrepreneur, to succeed, you need to be a good seller. You need to sell. So, and I learned, and I'm scared. And when I give a price, I know that is a high price, and I always wonder, is this person going to tell me to go to hell? But they don't. So
That's a learning in itself, yeah.
yes, yes, and I'm tougher and tougher. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, also you said, unfortunately, that those successes come quite rarely, right? And I think that's the same for everybody. I mean, you do have a lot of so-called failures. I don't know if they're failures or not, but experiments, things that don't go as well as you hoped, and
Yes,
putting a
yes, those
lot of
are.
stuff out there before it sticks.
That's what they call failures. It's
Yeah.
never failure. It's just like little tiny disappointments. Because as an entrepreneur, you think very optimistic, and you try your best, and you get informed to try the best thing, and then when it doesn't work or nothing happens, which is very often, you're a bit disappointed. But then, okay, you move on to the next thing. But yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe more extreme in that roller coaster because, again, going back to sort of the corporate experience, as you said, it's quite sort of, I don't want to say stable, but it does go, as you said, built sort of, sort of cycle of, okay, we're working towards a launch, and then it goes sort of better or worse than you thought, and the team has there's a certain rhythm to it, I guess, that you just
Yes.
don't have now. And you can, as you said, you've been working towards something, but then as soon as that's done, you're on the next thing anyway, and it's just
Yeah,
constantly raising
totally.
the bar as well. So it's just different.
And we talk about it many times together. Is like, I don't know if it is a thing of being an entrepreneur or our personality, but we never celebrate our little successful moment. So that's why, I mean, it's a bit of a pity. While as a team, as a big organization, you take the time, because I guess people work so hard and you need to reward them. You take the time to celebrate, and as an entrepreneur, or since I left corporate, I don't.
Yeah. And that is important because I guess the system rewards you hopefully through promotions and salary increase and even official
Yes.
awards and things. And then you also have even when I was a junior assistant brand manager, I sort of did little team awards where I gave a little, certificate to everyone in the team. And it's just a simple gesture. But that kind of thing is fun to do as both the manager and the person being managed, right? And I guess that's missing when you're a team of one or maximum two people. Maybe you and your boyfriend should be giving each other certificates.
I do.
Oh, good.
From
There you
time to
go.
time, I write him cards thanking him.
Yeah.
Really very corporate, right? To just let him know that I appreciate his work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do.
Well, I worked with somebody who said that her mum gave her sort of I think a congratulations card every time she got a new client, which I thought was lovely. And, it can sound a bit silly, but, we should
No,
really...
it's not silly. Not silly.
It's not silly,
I
it's
won't have
important. Okay, well, maybe I can send you a card now every time. Let me know when you've had a success. And
It's
I'll
a lot. No, let's do 10, like by the dozens for me. It's fine.
Okay, well, to I guess go towards a positive side of the experience. Yes, what is the best part now of this cake making business, of the entrepreneurial experience, of everything that you're doing?
Learning a lot, learning so much, and from time to time, some stuff work. It's not that nothing works. From time to time, it works, and it feels amazing because it's 100%. Your work, which is different from corporate, being able, I mean, I work all the time, but I chose it, so I guess it's good. And then, but I can totally decide, okay, now let's go to the movies, or let's just work out, or let's,
some flexibility.
I don't know. Yeah, that's really, really nice. Or I never put an alarm clock anymore. Also, I wake up now at 5 because I want to work. I want my business to grow. So I'm totally wow.
Yeah.
But I don't put an alarm clock. And whenever I feel in the situation again, where I feel somebody's giving me orders, this I don't like anymore. And I think once you get out of, the hierarchy of a company, I think it's difficult. At least for me, it would be very difficult to get back.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But yeah, so not having a boss is good. It's just a feeling. But
yeah. Well, that is interesting, and possibly not in your particular business, but other people, certainly when you're working freelance and more sort of getting into contracts and even consulting and so on, you end up maybe in the end working for a boss anyway, right? And I think the danger there is a sort of slippery slope into doing what someone else wants anyway. So that's just, you're sort of thinking, oh, I need the money and I need to take on clients, but forgetting what it is
No, but
that you
I
want out of the
noticed
business.
it. I'm teaching at university, so depending on the university, I have more or less freedom. I like more freedom.
Freedom. I like it too.
Really.
And what about the that innovative side of yourself that you felt that you weren't sort of living out? Are you finding the outlet for that now? Are you being able to express yourself creatively and do those crazy things you want to do?
Yes, because I discovered I'm actually pretty good with my hands. And so I can make cakes. Not the first ones, they got burned, but now I can make a decent cake and good decorations, and that's very surprising. It's not something, it's something that I think it's in my genes, because my mother is very good in drawing, but they never foster it. They fuel it. They never fuel it or got training for me. And so, but right now I need to step up. And so when we have a lot of orders, and I can do a lot of things. That's very satisfying. Since I'm an entrepreneur, I had to learn Photoshop and all sorts of Adobe something, and I shoot my videos, I take pictures, I took classes. So yes, a lot of creativity. Yeah. Apart from writing. Writing, I'm not that good, but all the rest, all the visual other things, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. I think. Absolutely. Well, you can't do everything, but that's great. You're almost like a full service. At least you understand everything, right? So then when you do outsource it, you know exactly what it entails, and you can whip up a book cover or a Facebook ad or whatever it is very quickly if you need to, which is always good.
Yes. So
okay. And to finish with then, what advice would you give past Serena or somebody in a similar kind of situation who feels maybe they have that creative, innovative desire for freedom and wants to break out but is a little bit unsure? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I thought about this question, and there are tons of advices I could give. I think that I'm 100% sure you cannot be an entrepreneur or maybe also an artist or an actor in parallel to your current career. If you want to change career or have a business, it's very difficult, and I tried. It's very difficult to do it in parallel. However, I also do think that you need to try when you're still in your career. I think human beings want to be secure and feel that they got their basic need covered. And so it's good to try your next career, or if you want to be an entrepreneur, try to have a little business so that you can see if you like that. Like in my first business, my partner, she realized some element of being an entrepreneur she didn't like, and some other element she loved. So if you don't try, you don't know. And what you probably will discover is that it takes more efforts than you think. So you better, I think, try and be sure that you like it, and take your time before you move on to your next career or your next move. But I know that there are different thinking about it. I think that's where
Yeah, well, I think there's no right answer. There is, as usual. I mean, I agree with you. I tend to agree that it's impossible to launch and sort of grow a full-time business without having the full-time. And if you're trying to do, as we have been doing in the past, several businesses, that's likewise very difficult. But at the same time, there's two things I guess you mentioned. One is to experiment to see if you even like it. Because if you throw in the towel, sort of say, see ya to your boss and quit your job, and then you find that you hate it, the worst thing that can happen is that you go back to another job. So I really think, sometimes that could work as well. But certainly it's important to discover if that is really what you want to do. And then secondly, as you said, to manage that risk of if you quit with no savings and the idea that you had isn't the next Uber or Airbnb or whatever it is that you thought it was, perhaps it's also good to at least have some kind of evidence or sort of sales, as you said, before you quit. Sales is so what is the point at which then, in that case, what would be the point at which you would quit? How far do you think you can say a point at which this is going to be successful?
First of all, you need to have at least, I would say, 10 sales. You need to be, and not to your families and friends.
Important.
That's for me very important, because they show you love. They don't show you have a good product or service. I think it's if you have the feeling, you have already sold 10 at least of products or services, and then you have a feeling, or you know how to grow to the level you want your revenue to be. If you at least have a feeling of, okay, I've done this to sell 10 products. If I do this, I will sell 20 and then 30. And then at least having this feeling, I think. But again, there is no right or wrong. It's just, but for sure, you need to sell and make really sure that you have a good product or service.
Yeah. Well, I've recently sort of discovered the difficulty of, I think a lot of the work we do when we're changing career and as you started with sort of the need or the desire to be more innovative and creative, is that it comes from us, because I want this and I need this and so on. But then obviously as a business owner, and we know as marketers that you need to think about the consumer and what they want, and you're actually solving a problem. So I think marrying those two, sort of going from that selfish, I want freedom and I want to be creative and so on, you have to remember that you need to be actually solving a problem or delivering a product that people want. And not be too sort of egocentric in a way.
And I think, and we talked about it in the past, is making sure that you make the difference between what they need and what they want. It's absolutely not the same thing. And the way you think, or you even word their problem, it's not the way they think and they word their problem. And that's why I'm so pushing about selling, because in reality, selling is a market research. You just try, okay, he didn't understand, or he didn't buy, why he didn't, okay, try again and again and again. So you're just trying to fine tune the offering you have so that then you crack it, right? That's why for me, selling is, you as an entrepreneur, you should be selling. Also, I'm coming from marketing and never thought I would sell, but...
but also I think being open there to, as you said, failure and possibly pivoting, as they say now, and exploring and listening to those customers and potentially changing. Because I think some people we work with, when we're advising them, they're so married to their idea and they're so convinced that it's going to be the next big thing that they're not open to trying things, or they'll just say, yeah, but everyone loves it and, I'm going to sell it to everybody and it's going to be huge, and they just aren't open to evolving.
But as soon as I ask how many you sold last month, the silence.
There you go.
The silence. And that's how I define a good idea.
Yeah.
But there are many startups that now are very, very successful that took years before their first sell. So for sure it takes time to be able to sell. And then once you have sold your first, 10, 100, then you can think about growing. And that's another challenge.
Next step.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing a bit about your journey. If we want to read more about Serena or perhaps your latest cake venture, where can we find you in the world of internet?
Yes, please go and check my cakes. It's leonacakes.com, written with a Y.
Great. I'll link to that as well so people can come. And if you're in Geneva or even abroad, I believe you can order a delicious, incredible cake. So
we will make it happen.
Sell.
If you have the budget, everything is possible.
Good. Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Serena.
Thank you. Bye-bye.